All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome everyone to your April Workday 101. Our topic today is the 2023 annual increase. My name is Nikki Sitton. I'm an HR technology change management specialist, and I have Reba Phillips. She's our director of compensation here to present today. Hey, Reba.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we're glad you're here. And also have Michelle Andelsek. She's a compensation consultant. She'll be doing our demonstrations in Workday today. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Happy to be here also.
We invite you to submit any questions you have today into the Q&A. We will address your questions as we go, but if you don't see a response, make sure to check out the next edition of the Workday News, Views, and FAQs found in the announcement section of your Workday homepage. Speaking of announcements, please check out the new Workday 101 for Managers Lunch and Learn announcement. This is available to all HR and all people leaders. Click on the link within the announcement to join us for each monthly Lunch and Learn session. Please note that the link will only work on the day and at the time of the meeting because it is a direct link for the live meeting. So, spread the word about this new announcement to your peers and new leaders who may need the invitation. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to walk you through the 2023 annual increase timeline. We'll discuss lump sum payments, go over eligibility for annual increase, walk through the different actions required for people leaders and HR partners, and then discuss some of the resources that are available and jump into Workday for some demonstrations on what pertains to annual increase. So let's start off with Reba talking us through the 2023 annual increase timeline.
Thank you, Nikki. So first of all, this information was shared with HR vice presidents for further cascade. So you may have seen this already. That information was shared on April the 10th. So key takeaways for this timeline. There is a must be hired prior to date in order to be eligible for the annual increase, and that date is February 1st of this year. Anybody hired on February 1st or after will not appear in the module. They simply are not eligible. Again, the initial notifications and key takeaways were shared with HR vice presidents on Monday of this week. The annual increase module in Workday will open on April 24th. And once that opens, people leaders will receive a push notification in their Workday inbox, advising them that the module is open and that they should go in and review their data. They have until May 7th to complete their review, and then the Workday module will close on May the 8th. Any resulting increases will be effective on May 7th. The information within the Workday module will be finalized by May 10th. And at that point, HR should be notifying leaders that they can then start to have conversations with their impacted team members. They will also receive a Workday notification that the increased data is finalized, and they can access individual statements through their notification in the Workday inbox. Leaders will then have between May 10th and May 24th to have one-on-one conversations with their team members to advise them of their increase or lump sums. And then all of the adjustments or lump sums will be reflected on the May 26 paychecks. Some things that are important to know, key takeaways for this cycle. The May annual increase includes team members below the vice president level, so directors, senior directors, and below. This year, we heard you last year when we went through the process last year. No approval actions are required. No leaders will have to approve. They won't have to push up and receive additional approval from their one-ups. So it's informational only. All of the increases will be a flat 3%, and we are not anticipating any discretionary adjustments being made by leaders. So again, Workday module will pre-populate increases at 3%. And of course, any base pay adjustments will not be allowed to exceed the maximum of the pay range. So when we're talking about exceeding the maximum of the pay range, that brings us to the topic of lump sums. So if we have team members who are eligible for the annual increase cycle, if they are at the maximum of their pay range, their base pay will not be adjusted, but they will receive a 3% lump sum payment. Employees who are less than 3% from the maximum of the pay range, they could be getting a two-part. So they could get, if they're 2% away from the range maximum, they'll get a 2% adjustment to their base pay. Then the balance of that 1% would be paid to them as a lump sum. And then the third variation to this is if we have employees who happen to be red circled and paid above the maximum of the pay range. If the maximum is $25 and they're currently paid at $26.10, they will receive a lump sum, but that calculation will be paid on 3% of the maximum of the range instead of 3% of their current pay rate if their current pay rate is above the maximum. And of course, you see the red asterisk. PRNs will not receive lump sum payments. They are not eligible for lump sums. So who's included and who's excluded? Included, and this is the same as in prior years, regular full-time and part-time team members, those who are PRNs, except for those who are in non-RN PRN4 jobs. If someone is respiratory PRN4, a lab PRN4, those already have a high premium associated with those roles. They are not included in the annual increase cycle, as well as additional jobs would be included. Things that are excluded. Again, as we mentioned earlier, team members hired on or after February 1st of 2023, anybody that is a temporary status, physicians, students, interns, production-based team members, those who are paid per RVUs or per services delivered, residents, and of course contingent or contract workers, as well as team members who are in a final corrective action as of May 7th. They will not be included either. So, action required of people leaders. People leaders should be reviewing the direct reports in the roster that are pushed to them through Workday. They are asked to share any discrepancies with you, with their HR partners. We also ask that leaders do not communicate any of the proposed increases that they see in their rosters until the process has been finalized and they receive that notification. After they receive that notification, and that will be on May 10th, again, they'll get notice in their Workday inbox notifying them that the process is finalized and giving them a link to get to their statements for their team members where they can batch print or export. And then they have the green light to have conversations with their team members. So just to give everyone insight into what the module is going to look like, and we're asking the leaders to review their direct reports roster. What are they going to be looking for? Number one, are all of my eligible team members showing on my roster? If they're not, they need to have a conversation with their HR partner to advise of that. If there's somebody showing on their team that I don't know who this person is, they don't report to me. Again, they should communicate that with their HR partner. Or if they see somebody, this person terminated 2 weeks ago, they shouldn't be on my roster. Those kinds of things, that's what we're asking the people leaders to review and confirm the data that are showing on their rosters. So when they're looking at the roster, there are a couple of different buckets of information, and we've got them color-coded here so that you have insight into what your leaders are going to be seeing. So the first column over there that's not highlighted is the individual's name. and what's their FTE? Are they a 0.8? Are they a 0.9? Are they 1.0? And then in the orange highlight, you're going to see the maximum pay amount, showing them the maximum of the range for the grade that those employees are sitting in. The next data component is going to be what their current base pay amount is. This is for information for the leader to understand what they're looking at. In the green highlighted section, they'll see what's the new pay rate amount that's applying the 3%. And remember, the 3% is a flat, static amount that is applied to everyone who's eligible. If any of these people in this example were at the maximum of the range or close to the maximum of the range, then you would see a dollar amount reflected in the next section, which is what's the dollar amount of that lump sum that these employees will see. And then to the column on the far right are the demographic information for each individual team member. So as leaders highlight, they've got Dwight Schrudy highlighted here. If they scroll down to Stanley Hudson, then what will show in that far right column is information pertinent to Stanley and so on.
And Reba, what if an employee shows up twice on someone's roster?
If they show up twice on someone's roster, that's an indicator that they have two jobs. They've got a primary job and a secondary job. Also related to that, if someone has a secondary job working for a different leader or in a different department, that will not show up on this leader's roster. It will show on the roster for the individual that they report up through. Thank you for calling that out, Nikki.
Thank you.
So in terms of the HR partnership, this is going to be key for this process in making sure that leaders have the support and their questions can be answered through their HR partner, and that they know that they should be connecting with their HR partner. Things that we need to do in terms of HR is to remind leaders to retrieve their notifications and their individual statements. Again, it's not going through their Outlook inbox, it will go through their Workday inbox. And we know that it's not routine or second nature for people to, on a daily basis, check their Workday inbox. We need to encourage people leaders to engage in personal conversations with their team members about their individual increases. I mean, this is a wonderful engagement initiative, an opportunity to have that additional connection with their team members. And also, if there are questions that HR cannot address, then please reach out to the compensation consultant for your region. It is important to note that people leaders should direct their questions to their HR partners instead of going to people services. Other resources that we have available both to HR and to our people leaders, there is a job aid that is posted in Workday. It's in the Ask HR app under Resources for Managers. Again, leverage the HR partnership with our people leaders, and also a recording of this session will be posted into the Workday 101 video library for just-in-time access. And at this time, I will turn this over to Michelle Andelsek, who will take us through a demonstration.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all again for joining today. I will be leading you through a demonstration on how to access the annual increase process, both as a leader, a direct leader, and an indirect leader. So starting off, we are going to be in as Taylor Swift. She is a direct leader. So as you can see, I'm logged into Workday here, and where you will go is the My Tasks area, which is also known as the Workday inbox, and that is in the upper right corner. So I'm going to click there. You will see the 2023 annual increase process. I have it highlighted on the left. So you'll click into that. If you would like to expand this screen, you can click the Enter Full Screen Mode option in the top right corner. So I'm going to do that. This orange intro text gives you some important information regarding the process itself. So I encourage you to definitely read through that and become familiar with it. It's just kind of some general information. Once you get through reviewing that, you can scroll down, and that is where you will find the roster for that particular leader. This is, again, where you'll see the columns that Reba talked about, and this is the list that will need to be reviewed for accuracy. So in reviewing this, if no changes are necessary, again, no action is required. But if you do see anything that needs to be updated, you'll just need to connect with your HR business partner. Additional detail for each individual employee, again, as Reba mentioned, can be seen on the right side as you click on each record. So I have Beyonce highlighted here. So I'm going to then get her information on this right side. It's going to give you, again, her name, a hire date, continuous service date, and then her employee type and whether this is a primary or additional job. So you can do that for each employee to be able to see their individual details. Good example here of someone who's listed twice. Florence Nightingale here has both a additional job and a primary job under this same leader, so she is going to be listed twice. One of those, you can see she's at the max of the pay range, so she is not receiving an increase, but there is a lump sum amount indicated on this table. So just wanted to call that out because that's a good example of that. You will also notice an orange submit button at the bottom of the screen. It is not necessary to click that. Again, we're not asking for any action. If you do click it, it's not going to affect or hurt anything, but you don't have to. So as long as you review your list, everything looks good, you can back out of this and move on or just close it out. That is what it looks like from a direct leader perspective. As far as an indirect leader, it's similar, but it looks just a little bit different. This is an indirect, this is someone who has multiple soup orgs underneath them. So again, the process can be found in the Workday inbox or the My Tasks area. And again, you'll see the process looks very similar to what we were looking at just now for Taylor Swift. So I'm going to expand this out so we can see it better. Same orange text. And then you will scroll down, and instead of seeing a list of employees initially for someone with indirect reports, you'll actually see this summary. It gives you a little bit of additional information in terms of how many positions are underneath them in total, what the compensation event spend is going to be. But to get to the actual list of employees, you will click on this icon under suborgs. And this gives you a list of all of the suborgs that are underneath Susie Q. So the top one is going to be Susie Q's direct reports. So to view those, you'll click on the pencil under view. And these are the direct reports that are under Susie Q. This table looks very similar to the one that we just viewed. It's got all of the same information. And again, you can click on the individuals and get their hire dates and the additional info that we saw previously. In addition to that, if you are an indirect leader and you want to view the lists, the rosters for each of your suborgs that are underneath you, you can do that again by this same menu. We will look at Taylor Swift again. You would just click on the magnifying glass under view. And once again, same table we viewed previously. So again, same information. This is just viewing it from the indirect leader perspective. Also, again, no action necessary here, just kind of verifying that everyone is your employee, really, and everyone is on here that you expect to see. So any questions, again, you would connect with your HR business partner. So that's the process from both the direct leader and indirect leader perspective. And now that we have viewed the process itself, I will show you how to export the results to Excel and then also print batch statements. First, if you would like to export the results to Excel, this report can be run at any time during or after the process. And the report is called SSM Compensation Review Calculations Employee Details. So you're going to come up to the search bar and you will type in the name of the report, which again is SSM Compensation Review Calculations Employee Details, and you will get this selection screen. The compensation review event, right now it's in progress, so I'm going to go to that section, and it's the 2023 SSM Health Annual Increase, so I will select that. You can also type in 2023 and hit enter, and this will pop up for you. For organizations, I will run this for Taylor Swift, so I will just type her name in, and her organization comes up there. So I'm not going to include subordinate organizations because Taylor Swift doesn't have any. But if I was running this for her one-up, Susie Q, and I wanted to see all of my sub-orgs, then I would click this checkbox. I'm going to click OK and run that. And actually, this takes a few minutes to run, so I have a sample of it open on a different screen. What you're going to get is a report that comes up that basically gives you the information that we saw on the table within the process, but then also additional information. So you're going to see their position ID, and then several other fields, ministry, cost center, the full range, the full pay range of their job, and again, what their old and new base pay is, and what comp grade they're in. So this just provides some additional information, and it gives you the opportunity to export that to Excel. If you would like to export that for your records, then you will click this here, where normally when you click this, it brings up a download button, and that will just open up the Excel document. It's going to give you the exact information that's on this screen, just in Excel. So that is how you would export. The last thing that I will show you is how to batch print your employee statements. This is what you will need to wait for May 10th to do. On May 10th, you will receive the notification that they're ready. And to get those batch printed, you will again come into Workday and you'll search for View Compensation Review Statements. Click into it, and you get a selection box. Again, I will run this for Taylor Swift. So I'll type in her name here and hit enter. And then the completed compensation review process is not going to be in there for 2023 yet because it's not completed. So I'm just going to select one as an example, but when you run this for 2023, be sure to select the 2023 option. Proceed there. And I'm going to click batch print, which is going to batch them all together, and then just keep refreshing your screen until you get results in the compensation review statement area. So here's my results. This is the PDF of it, and I will just bring up a sample here because, again, these aren't actually ready for the 2023 process yet. We have 3 different statements here. These are the same as last year. There's a couple of changes. Obviously, it'll say 2023, and then also it'll say 3% here instead of 2.5, but there are a couple different ways that the employees will see their statements. One is if they're getting an increase to base rate only, and that is what you see here. It's only showing the annual increase amount. The second one is if they're getting a partial increase to base rate plus a lump sum. So you'll see that partial increase here, and then in addition to that, you'll see a lump sum section. And then the third example is if they're getting only a lump sum. You'll see nothing in the annual increase amount, and you'll see the lump sum amount in that section. So when you batch print those, they'll all batch into one file, and then you can either save or print from there, and that is what you will use to have the conversations with your individual employees. So the last thing that I would like to show you is where to find the resources. So again, when you're in Workday, most of this, actually all of it, is going to be under the Ask HR app. So if you click on Menu and Ask HR, you will see the Resources for Managers section, and that is where you will find the job aid is where you'll also find the recording from today's session. The recording from today's session will actually be under this video library link. And this is also where you will find other Workday 101 videos. So a lot of good resources there. I also recommend that you would create a shortcut to this Workday 101 for Managers video library. And to do that, you would follow these steps. Click Menu, go to the Shortcuts tab, click Add Shortcuts, and then just search keywords. I'm going to type Workday 101. There's what we're looking for, so I'll click the plus sign. And now it's in my shortcuts menu. So that will take me directly to the video library next time.
And Michelle, just to jump in for a second, if you stay right there, we also have a Workday 101 for HR video library. So for this audience here, you can search Workday 101 and you'll see a Workday 101 for HR video library. So all of the presentations that you've seen on a monthly basis for the Workday 101s are housed in your own video library, and you can add it as a shortcut.
Perfect. Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you for your time, everybody, and we truly hope that by removing the approval steps, that this is just a less tedious process for everyone. So thank you all for your time.
That concludes our Workday 101 presentation on the 2023 annual increase. I want to thank our speakers, Reba Phillips and Michelle Andelsek, for all their time put into this presentation. Make sure you check out the next edition of the News, Views, and FAQs for answers to all of the questions asked today. And thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.